Welcome back, family, to day number 4 of the 5 leadership blind spots that sink leadership. So far in this message, we've tackled some critical barriers. In lessons 1, we exposed the time trap where busyness replaces true effectiveness. And then when we got to lesson number 2, we talked about the boundary breakdown where we give too many yeses and it kills our focus. And in lesson 3 on yesterday, we talked about the Long Ranger complex where we're doing everything ourselves and it keeps us from being able to build any real momentum. But even with great time management and clear boundaries, and even with a solid team, you can still fail. If communication breaks down, you're on your way out. So today in the lesson, we're going to dive into one of the most powerful blind spots in leadership, and that is the communication gap. Let's get in there.
We're back and welcome to day number 4. And we're talking today about the communication gap. What does that communication gap look like? This particular blind spot, it's not going to show up as chaos. It's not going to show up as trouble or issue. It's going to show up as silence. It's going to show up as assumptions, missed expectations. It's when we assume that they understand what we meant. It's when we assume that they know what the priority is. It's when we assume that they're in alignment with the mission and the purpose of our ministry, our organization, because after all, we've been in the same meetings. We've heard the same lesson. But leadership dies in the gap between what you think you said and what they actually understood. Here's the leadership truth that I need every one of us to get. What isn't made clear will become confusion. Signs that you're leading through the gaps instead of clarity. You can tell that you're leading through the gaps when you're feeling frustrated because your people aren't getting it. You can tell that you're leading through the gap when your team or ministry keeps veering off course. You've set the direction and they keep moving off course again. And when you're noticing repeated mistakes because expectations weren't set and reinforced and reviewed. And not only do you give an expectation, you have to set it, you have to reinforce it, and you've got to continue to review the expectation that you set. You know that you're leading through the gap when you have people that agree in the meeting, but they act differently when it comes down to practicing what you've talked about. And that's not a personal problem. It's not that they don't love you or care anything about you. That is a clarity problem that has to be addressed. Leadership is something that we can't leave up to assumptions. So here is a leadership shift that you've got to make. You've got to move from assumptions to intentional alignment. Strong leaders don't just talk. They communicate with clarity. They follow through with alignment. You can't afford to assume that people know the why behind their work or what they're called to do. You can't afford to assume that the standard behind the results are understood. You can't assume that the direction behind the decision is understood. People can't follow you if they don't have clear communication. They have to have that clarity. And clarity isn't, sometimes we say, well, I don't have time to just keep going over stuff. But clarity isn't about kindness. Clarity is leadership. It's leadership all by itself. Every great leader wants to be clear. So there's 3 moves that will help us to close that communication gap. Number 1, check for understanding, not just agreement, because there will be people who agree with you, but they don't understand. You got to ask your team, repeat back to me what you heard. And not only that, I need you to give back to me your understanding of your role in what we're trying to do here. That simple move will expose the misalignment very early. And don't get upset with people because it happens. That you will have people that will be in agreement with you, but they don't really understand what their role is, what they need to do. So when you do this simple thing, it can expose that misalignment very early before it becomes a problem much later. The next thing that you've got to do, and I know we love to say it, I love to say it, I hate repeating myself, but you've got to use repetition without apology. Use repetition without apology. Leaders often get tired of repeating themselves, but repetition, and I'm just really getting this in my mindset, repetition is what builds culture. Don't fear it. Use it to reinforce your mission, your vision, and your expectation for your team. That is very important. Number 3, clarity. You've got to clarify the win on every level. You've got to ask, what does a win look like for the role that you're playing in what we're doing? What does it look like in this task? What does it look like? So when people know what success looks like, they lead with more confidence and with more consistency. So here's your coaching prompt that I want you to reflect on this week. Ask yourself today, where am I assuming that people understand, but I haven't taken the time to make it clear? Because silence does not equal agreement, and agreement does not equal alignment. So your challenge for the rest of this week, as a part of the challenges that we've already given, is to choose one area, one team project, one process, and over communicate the win. What does a win look like? We did this during our Easter, when we were doing our 21 days to Easter campaign. We overemphasize what a win looks like. A win looks like this place being full. So they knew what they had to do. A win meant that the building was full. You've got to get to that place that you're asking for feedback and clarify the expectation, reinforce the mission, do the work on the front end so that you can avoid confusion on the back end. Leaders, please understand, leadership breaks down where there's no clarity. Leadership breaks down where clarity runs dry. And no matter how great the vision is, if people don't understand it, they can't execute it. Don't lead by assumption. Lead by alignment, because communication isn't something that's optional. It's essential to successful and sustainable leadership. In our final lesson tomorrow, we're going to bring everything together full circle. We're going to talk about managing your time, setting boundaries, building teams, and communicating with clarity. But none of that matters if you, as a leader, stop growing. So in lesson number 5, we're going to confront the final blind spot, and that is the growth block. When leaders are leading others, but they stop developing themselves. Because the moment that you stop growing yourself, your leadership starts shrinking. Don't miss it. It's going to be great. God bless.